Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another weekly forecast / breakdown. Before we get started, I'm going to quickly run through the VIP results, break down the trade that we took on gold, a bit on US30, and then get into the forecast. Let's do this. So you can tell that we made a 1.5% last week. It was decent. Obviously we did take a few little losses here, especially on US30 as well, but I believe that was because we had the wrong bias for the week, but we made it work. As you can tell from Thursday, we managed to sort of capitalize on a move, which sort of helped us right there. But if we scroll up right here, we managed to catch a nice move on gold, as you can see, something like this. And if we had not had a take profit overnight, we would have managed to catch another extra 300-400 pips there on this big pump. Let's go and break that down. If we have a look at gold right here, this is on the 30-minute time frame. Let's move it higher on the 1 hour time frame right here. You can see that from Monday, which is right here, this was your weekly range. So there you go. That's the low of the week, and that's where the high of the week is. So a very impulsive week we had. Now where we ended up getting in was the main move for the week, but because of our take profit, we ended up getting closed out early. But this is what trading is. I was happy to at least take the money just in case that price would have reversed, being so high up in the range. As you can see, quite high up. Our weekly forecast was to see if price would drop down into this area here. So if price had taken out the highs right there and then reversed, that still would have been a possible scenario for the week, but it didn't. So let's talk about how we ended up getting in. What were we looking at and why we entered the buy. So you can see here that on the weekly range, price opened up with a gap right here, and there's your gap right there, and then price tried to take out the highs, which it did. It just spiked the highs and then fell back down. So it was at this point here we wanted to see if price was sort of creating a reversal pattern to continue up to these highs again. So as price dropped here on Monday, we could see that price was sort of breaking structure right here, and it was at this point here where a lot of people were sort of switching into the buys. You can see there's a swing point right there where price pushed lower, then broke back up again, held, and then broke higher. However, when we woke up at around London session, price was around this area here, and I noticed that if I drop down on the lower time frames, it'll look a lot better. That with this sort of structure right here, you can even draw a trend line on it. That price has now broken out of this downtrend and has now broken structure as well, based off this swing point I have right over here. This was the level I was watching. If price broke up, because you can see some imbalance right here, if price reacted off this imbalance, it would have pushed down. However, if price broke the high, this is now a reversal pattern to now get into some buys. If I mark this fair value gap right here, this is a 15-minute fair value gap. You can see that price broke straight through it, and this was obviously overnight while we were sleeping, so we didn't have to worry about that trade. However, we were waiting on the buy setup to attack these highs again, and once price got up to here, you can see that all the manipulation that was going on in this area here, going over into New York session, and price initially tried to make a bullish move from here, but then failed and went back down even lower. This is where we got taken out on our first trade, around about here, and then we were already waiting for our second trade here, and you can see that price already immediately broke structure again and then continued up. Now, why were we waiting in this level? Let's mark this level here, right where this low was, drag it across. We can see that this is a consolidation level right here, so it's a key level where price decided to accumulate orders and came back to retest it. There's other scenarios where price also kind of jumped into this inverted fair value gap right here, but I didn't use that. The main thing I used was got my fib retracement tool, marked the low to the high, and then dragged it across. We can now see that based off this impulse move, this is now a 50% retracement to fall back into discount to then push higher. There's no point sort of buying up here, because again, we have where you're going to place your stop loss. So because we ended up buying right here, my stop loss was at least around below this low or below this low. I wanted to keep a slightly bigger stop loss based off the volatility. However, looking obviously in hindsight, we could have had a very tight stop loss just below the prior low. Whoa, where's this gone? Just below the prior low there. There would have been a 30-40 pip stop loss there, and we would have started targeting these highs, and these highs, and that would have been a fantastic trade right there. But we had a slightly larger stop loss because we wanted to swing this trade, and we knew that price was going to go on and carry on and take out the highs, which it ended up doing. One tip I would like to drop to you guys, if you guys were following this trade, is that if you notice that even if you didn't get in here, you would have had another opportunity to enter. I'm going to show you where. Notice how we have highs which are right here, here, and then here. These highs were your swing point levels. Because price broke back above this swing point here, this shows you that price is now bullish. You now need to wait for a retracement, right? You also have a swing point here where you could have got in on this break. However, you then need to look for an imbalance or a gap in market, which is right over there, and this is a 5-minute imbalance. And if price taps into this level, this is where you'd end up looking for buyers. You place your buys right here, your stop loss below the low, because you don't want price to break the low again. So your 60 pip stop loss right there, 50, 60 pip stop loss, and then that would have been your entry. Tighter entry would have been a re-entry for us if we ended up getting in at this low here as well as here, and that would have been a double trade. Obviously we ended up making a loss beforehand, so I only had one trade left for the day, so I was happy to take that swing trade, but that would have been a very clean entry. However, it was later on in the day, so these moves tend to start happening towards 11 a.m. New York time, so keep an eye on that if the manipulation does happen beforehand when New York opens, and then it may end up setting a move right there. So that was a very, very clean entry right there. 50% discount reaction, break of swing point. Now it's time to sort of move up and take out all of these equal highs right here, and then you can see after this price tapped here, it never looked back, continued up, took out the highs, and then once it took out the highs, that was already at like 270 pips, right? And then because our take profit got taken right there, we didn't know that when we woke up the next day, price already pushed up another 300 pips. What a crazy move that was. And it really does help sometimes to leave your take profit open, but in hindsight, I'm not going to do that because it's overnight for us, and price could easily return back to stop loss and continue down. That was a 1,500 pip move. Crazy, right? Right, enough of that. Let's keep moving forward. So that was your one trade there. Gonna have a quick look at US30. So I hope you sort of got some insights right there on how to trade that move. But looking at US30, our main aim for this week was for price to take and push above the previous weekly high, and it didn't do that. It was sort of consolidating right here, pushing up, failing to push higher. And over here at this point, I was expecting for price to retrace into this area to then push up. But because of Powell's speech, price pushed straight through this area and straight towards the low here, retraced, and this is where we could have got the perfect move here on this retracement. I know Michael managed to get in on this move, so absolutely fantastic move right here. I did see some sort of reversal patterns here, and then price absolutely plummeted, but I didn't expect we would get that much volume before New York open. This all happened at 6 a.m., 3 hours before New York open, and then once price was down here, it was here where we were trying to look to get in on the buys because the main push down had already happened. We waited for price to take out Friday's low, which it did, and once it took out Friday's low, we managed to get in on a buy right here to take out this high and potentially to see if we can get a move back up here. However, without the volume and being a day before the bank holiday Friday, Good Friday, price just ended up pushing back down to this area here. However, we are still in the swing trades from these levels. So I'm still in the swing trade from here, and I'm still in a swing trade from last week, as you may have saw from our screenshot, which is here. Many people thought that this was a buy limit. This isn't a buy limit. This is a limit that I had from the week before, so it's off the chart. And these are the two that we're still holding from Thursday. Going back to the charts here, so we have a move from here. So our main aim is to see if we can get price back up here. However, I have a feeling that what price may do going into next week, and this leads me on to my next week forecast, is price may want to break at the prior weekly low. And where is my tool here? Thursday's low, sorry. I have a feeling that if price pushes up here, fair enough, we get a bullish move to start off the week, and then we're in this swing trade for this high. However, if price breaks this low and pushes down here, then we're looking to see price break this low, tap back into here, and then give us that move back up. As you can see, that price is now in the discount zone again. It's taken out the liquidity. Hopefully we can get now a nice big push going into next week or the week after to push back up to previous weekly high. So that's my weekly forecast on US30. Nice and short. Obviously we're looking for bullish moves around this area here, or bullish moves to start the week. Let's have a look at gold. So you can see gold has potentially given us a little dip towards the end of the week and then started to push back up. And this is the dip right here, and I was talking about, came close to that 50% level and pushed back up again, and the price potentially could make a run to the all-time high again. The only way I'm looking to get into that is if price breaks this sort of, I believe it was the building permits, news release and housing starts. If price pushes above this area right there, that's your swing point, you likely want to see something like this and then get in on a retracement to then push up to the all-time high. That is your sort of initial bullish move. Let's have a look at the time frame again. With price being this high, do not want to keep getting into buys, with big lot sizes. You want to sort of see if price can sort of return back into discount. And I feel based off this bullish move right here, we could get a deeper retracement, with that being the liquidity on the 4-hour time frame. Looking at the daily time frame here, you can see that we have a bit of consolidation going into last week, and that could be a price where area where price holds and keeps pushing up, but I'm still looking for that retracement back in to this area here. So this area is still being marked as an area for price to retrace. So again, going to go into this week again to look out for price to take out the highs first, then to potentially make some reversal patterns to push back down. We want to see a nice little dump back into a discount again, and then look for the next buy move again. You can see that on our sort of daily / weekly time frame, price is using these areas as stepping stones to keep pushing price up. You can see here, price tapped into a weekly fair value gap, pushed up, broke back up, came back in, price jumped on another weekly fair value gap, pushed up again. Now we're expecting for price to push off another weekly fair value gap. Let's go to that weekly time frame and have a look at where it is, and it's right here. I believe last week may have been a forced move up to create this weekly fair value gap for price to dump back down into and collect more orders in this imbalance right here, for then price to push back up again. And that's why I think why last week was a very impulsive week again. Without any retracement, price just continued its push up to create this imbalance. Look at this imbalance right here. So this is going to be a key level. I'll be expecting to see if we can get reversal moves back into this area there, around about 3,100, and then if we can get another reversal move, this will be another bullish impulse that we'll get to continue this bullish move. So that's pretty much it on the gold weekly forecast. Let's see if we can get this, and I hope everyone has a great week next week. Looking at the news, not got anything. 1 second. See if we can get some news stats here. 24th of April. I believe it's just this one. Durable goods. And yeah, just durable goods. So, and existing home sales. So nothing too major on the news here. It looks like the 24th of April will be the main day. I believe that might be Wednesday. So I'd wait till sort of midweek to start placing the majority of our trades. And we'll see how the start of the week goes after this bank holiday, after this holiday weekend. It's pretty much it from me. I've been Oasis FX. Peace out.